What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, Solana seems to be setting its price up for a pretty damn interesting move that could leave us in a position in which we need to start doing some DCAing. And so, of course, because of that, I wanted to update you on what's happening with this price and what we can be doing because of it. So with that said, we're not going to waste any more time at all, and we're going to get straight into today's video. Now, looking at Solana here, in the last video, I told you all that it seemed evident to me that Solana was putting in a head and shoulders to the top side here. Now, generally speaking, when a crypto, especially Solana, puts in a head and shoulders pattern of this nature at the top of a more macro move over the last month or two, you definitely need to pay attention to it. There are often times in which it will actually interact with the breakout targets in which are being set by that structure, and in this case, of course, for Solana, what you would need to do, take the distance from the top of the head all the way down to the neckline, and then apply the distance from the neckline to the head down below the neckline, and that gives you your breakout target. So in this instance, of course, our breakout target would be $91 to the downside, which is where we would technically or structurally be supposed to go. Now that, of course, does look like a move of roughly, let's go ahead and call it about 12% to the downside. So again, it is something that we at least need to be paying attention to, because a 12% fall can feel substantial, even though it's not really substantial. Now, what we can see though is that, again, we have this neckline, which is right around the $104 level, and that's generally the level in which is going to be the decision maker. But what I love about Solana is Solana interacts with its Fibonacci levels extremely well. And what you can see is that although it did lose this neckline and lost this key level of support, it then came down to the 618 to 786 range, which you all know is Solana's strongest point of support or resistance, depending on the side that you're on. And because, of course, it is the strongest point of support or resistance, we saw it able to maintain Solana's price, use that to bounce Solana back to the upside to at least try again. This thing can be a saving grace to the downside, but it can be a destroyer of worlds to the upside. So I'm just glad that we're interacting with it in this degree right now when we need to. And so because of that, what I would go ahead and say is that this is Solana's kind of last chance right here. Where Solana is right now, trying to recapture that $105 level is its last chance. If it's capable of making itself back up towards 105 and maybe climbing up towards 110, we could be in a good position for Solana to continue. But I will sadly say that that is the least likely scenario here. That's about a 30% chance out of 100%. And what's the most likely is that there's a 70% chance that once you have interacted with this neckline and you've lost it, a back test of this nature has about a 70% chance of being successful, and then of course completing the move to the downside. Okay, it would fail to back test and complete support, and then boom, we would be looking for a move to the downside. So overall, what I would go ahead and say is that at this given point, if we do see Solana's price unable to maintain over 105, I would be prepared for Solana to possibly pull back as low as now $96. Maybe look for one more bounce to the upside, and if that bounce to the upside fails, of course, I would say the further extension all the way down towards $91 does seem even more likely. Now, I don't believe that this is necessarily a bad thing, and I actually, even if this does happen and we do get this move to the downside, I think that there's a strong likelihood we will use that as a macro high and look for a macro high or low and then continue to the upside. One of the things that gives me conviction about that is the fact that at that given point, we would then be interacting with the bottom side 618 to 786 level on a more macro scale. So what you can see is that even if we do hit that breakdown target that the head and shoulders is giving us, that would then put us right around the 618 to 786 box from this more macro swing low to swing high, in which in this event, I definitely think we would be able to get some type of more macro move to the upside. So I'm not again concerned if we do get a pull towards, $90 to $84. Now, at the same time, I am even more not concerned because we're already starting to get some of these 4-hour DCA plus flashes from Algo. You guys know we made Algo over at my company, and it is what I use to do basically all of my investing. And as you can see here, we did get our first DCA plus feature flashing on the 4-hour charts, which historically is a very, very good sign. If we remove all these drawings and just look at what typically happens here, the DCA plus feature has a very, very, very high chance at giving you some of the best buying opportunities possible, especially on the 4-hour or daily, more macro time frames. And looking here, in these little moments when it's saying, hey, good time to DCA here, good time to DCA here, good time to DCA here, boom, what happens? We get the beautiful move to the upside. What happens with all of these beautiful DCAs on all these wicks right here? We get this move and this move to the upside. If we go back even a little bit further, what you can see back here, let's go to the 4-hour charts. We got these beautiful DCA calls back here on this low and this low, two macro bottoms before making this run. This was at $50 before making a run to $100, 100% gains there, right? So the 4-hour time frame is extremely, extremely successful over the long term at predicting beautiful entry times. And the fact that we are getting this now, telling us that this is a beautiful entry time, kind of gives me further conviction that even if we do get a pullback and it does go lower than that, that we will get a more macro bounce to the upside over the further, more extended period of time. Now, if you do want to use HG Algo yourself, you can use it with the links down in the description below. You can get 20% off right now. We're only going to run that deal for the next week or two, and then it's going to go back to full price. This thing has completely changed my life. It saved me a lot of time. I don't have to use emotions when I invest anymore. It literally just tells me some of the best times to invest. Even during the times when I was back testing it to make sure it worked, you can see where it was giving us these buy calls on Solana throughout 2023. $16 here, $16 here, $17 here before that macro run. You can even look at something like Bitcoin, for example, and to see what was happening, giving us these beautiful call here. On the shorter time frames, you can even see giving us these beautiful calls right here around 40,000, beautiful calls around 41,000 before that move. It's ridiculous. Okay, but anyway, I just wanted to show you again. You can use that link down in the description below. So with that in mind, the whole point of today's video is just kind of let you know, hey, Solana might pull back here. There's a higher chance that it pulls back than that it does continue, and we are in a bull market, and that is something to consider. That 30% chance could come to fruition and we could continue upwards, and that's the reason why I'm already DCAing in on some Solana at these prices. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to warn you, look, its price might pull back. It's nothing to be worried about. It's nothing to be concerned about. I personally think that is the best time to start DCAing in if we do start to trek, to that $90 to $80 level. So with that in mind, you guys know I will always bring you Solana updates as much as I possibly can. We've been talking about it 2 to 3 times a week for the last 2 to 3 years straight, and we will continue to do so, especially if you guys are enjoying it. If you are enjoying it, of course, you can let me know always by smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.